Hello, my name is Sky, and this is my idea on how you can have or create stability in Iraq. I'm not political one way or another, and I am just really a student of history and a student of warfare and conflict. Um, I, I, you know, I study a lot of history, and I look at like a lot of different examples and structures, and so my idea is that you have the U.S. military relocate to the borders of like Syria, Jordan, uh, and Iran, and just have them maintain bases, and then also but also in very isolated places of the countryside, and establish refugee camps there as well. And then the U.S. troops can monitor and maintain little border checkpoints to control, the flow of traffic, between, and use their high-tech surveillance, for the more desolate areas. So basically, pulling border security, what a lot of them are doing now, right now, in the U.S. But anyways, and just all the internal areas of Iraq uh, say, all right, this is an internal struggle, so go for it. This, handle it internally. Um, just realize that if we think that you're going or committing genocide, uh, we're going to come, we're basically going to, eliminate you in some way or another, or we're going to really hurt you as a result. Because, frankly, if you guys want to, fight each other and kill each other, go right ahead. But if you start taking out a bunch of innocent civilians, and like throwing bombs at kids playing, who are just playing games in the street, uh, guess what? The U.S. military is, we're gonna take you down for that. Um, and otherwise, just tell the population, look, we're having a hard time justifying and doing what we're doing. But rather than all this waste and all this, it's obvious it's waste as well. Um, we're gonna stay here. We're gonna make sure that no outside influences can interfere in internal Iraq politics. But otherwise, yeah, you have to these are internal struggles which you need to handle yourself. If you need to have a civil war, fine, have a civil war. No real if the people want to accept something, they're only going to accept something, and it has to be support. So you have to remove support in order for okay, well, here are the alternatives, and here's the where you can go, and by establishing refugee camps, a lot of people who just they don't have the money or the means or the ability, they can just relocate and just live in a place where they're given food and support. They're given education. They're given uh, they can establish a little community there, and that can be a safe, protected community. That as soon as there should be no reason for it to have any strategic value or influence or whatever. And if as soon as there's a problem, kick everybody out and then let everybody slowly come back in checking them. It can be done. But anyways, uh, I think that is the best strategy to go with Iraq. As far as what else you could do, well, relocate all the troops out of South Korea. Just why do we have that garrison still there? Um, and if anything, in a weird kind of, you would hope he wouldn't do this. If you remove all these U.S. military troops from South Korea, there's one rumor that North Korean forces would attack South Korea because that's the only thing holding them back. Um, well, how preposterous is that, or how realistic is that? And if there's to be an excuse to have a conflict with North Korea, who's supposedly part of the axis of evil, but that's just, see, I'm a student of history, I'm a student of politics, so it's just the way I can look at it all. I'm not trying to suggest one thing or another, um, but this is the way I look at things. Uh, that's how you can get more troops. There are a lot of troops just around the world, in different little locations, and there's also a lot of auxiliary troops. Um, but really, I'm tired of seeing my brothers and sisters being killed, um, and I want to see, I would rather have this sort of strategy followed, in my opinion, because the casualties, or like, the basically the dangers, that U.S. military troops would be facing would be a lot less. They can be sitting in a hot tent in the middle of the desert where nobody's going to be bothering them, and I would much rather see that happen than them rolling around in a city where everybody wants to take a shot at it. I just think that would be safer, and I think it would be a lot more palatable to the American public as well. To have that, we are going to be there because ideally, to maintain American honor in the public eye, if we broke it, we need to fix it. So this is our way of fixing it. Just allowing, providing protection and providing security, and allowing the internal conflicts of the region to settle for themselves. So whatever the people of Iraq want, they're going to get. They're going to have to choose it through blood and violence, because that's possibly just part of the culture as well. That's something to realize and think about. Whatever is the outcome, the people will decide, and you just hope that you make the people who do decide, hey, well, I'm going to be in charge, realize that there's not only your fellow Iraqis you have to worry about. There's also, if you cross a certain line, American justice, is going to look down on you. So it's a very aggressive, approach and view, and the reason why is because, oops, wrong hand. Sorry about that. The reason why is because it seems to me that there's a cultural difference of sort of belligerent respect for strength, or respect for belligerent strength, and in some ways that's kind of what you need to have. And the reason why I say that is because I've heard that the Iraqis are just afraid of the Americans, because when the Iraqis fight each other, there's the conflict, the casualty rate is a little lower. When the Americans get involved, the casualty and destructive rate really increases and ramps up. So they really, a lot of, that's why the Iraqis don't like the Americans being involved in conflicts, because it's just, it increases, the destruction. So that's something else, is that, we're hurting by being in the cities where the conflict's, going on. So, and also, we just need to, completely remove all this money going into Iraq. Ideally, in my opinion, the way you rebuild Iraq is by employing the people, giving them jobs, providing opportunities, just doing public works even. I'm watching a program about Germany, the Autobahn. America followed the German example and created the interstate system. But under Eisenhower, it's if you just do something that employs a lot of people, and there's also the Hoover Dams and FDR's whole rebuilding the United States after the Depression, or during the Depression. Yeah, if you give the people a lot of jobs, and especially PBS, but anyways, that's just my opinion. Well, what can be done? There's also examples of U.S. service members who have positively connected with the local tribal and government leaders, and I'm surprised that example wasn't repeated elsewhere. So I was just very curious about it all, and in my opinion, I think it's the outside influence, and that's where the Americans need to concentrate, is on the outside. Let the internals just handle the internals, and so that way American blood is not stained in these internal conflicts as well. So anyways, that's just my non-political, just my own little personal observational expert opinion.